Space travel has always required speed because all the points of interest are so far away. Space explorers for years have been searching for a way to make us travel faster than the speed of light, which will allow them to get to deep space quickly. Several methods being taunted by researchers have all had their drawbacks, but now it seems one particular physicist has finally gotten his eureka moment. So how close are we to traveling to space with the speed of light? All this and more is what I have for you in this video. Make sure you stick to the video to the end. The idea of being able to travel to space at the speed of light has always been an attractive one for explorers. Imagine being able to go past an incredible 299,792,458 meters per second. Light travels at a speed of 186,000 miles per second. With that, it takes just over a second to travel from Earth to the Moon. And if you maintain that same speed, you can go around the Earth more than 7 times in 1 second. Light is so fast that if you switch on a bulb in a dark room, everywhere becomes bright almost immediately. Now imagine if that's finally possible for humanity, as they would now be able to explore outside our solar system in a very short period. It's like it won't take long for that to happen, as one researcher has found a way that could make that possible. At the speed of light, we can finally reach other planets, and just maybe we might be able to conquer them all. Many researchers in the past have tried many different methods to achieve traveling at a very high speed without success. Not until Dr. Eric Lentz, a researcher at the Göttingen University in Germany, announced that he's made the discovery that had put an end to the problem that all other methods could not solve. Is he for real? We'll discuss that later, but I think you guys need to know where we were before this announcement and how other researchers might have laid the foundation for his latest discovery. The universe is so vast that it can take light many years to travel from one part of the universe to another. While there are lots of interesting things to do with light, scientists have always been fascinated by the idea of traveling faster than the speed of light. For a better perspective, SpaceX founder and CEO Elon Musk has the plan to form a settlement on Mars, but his explorers would have to bear at minimum 5 months of travel through space before touching down on the red planet. They can even spend close to a year depending on that distance between the two planets. But being finally able to hack space traveling at the speed of light might take them less than 4 minutes. According to Einstein's special relativity, nothing can beat the speed of light, as it is a fundamental constant of nature. So does that mean we won't be achieving that anytime soon? Many people have in the past come up with innovative ways to build something faster than the speed of light. In fact, in theory, tachyons have been introduced as hypothetical particles that could theoretically exceed the speed of light, but tachyons must have imaginary masses and do not exist in the real world. Although a sufficiently twisted space in general relativity could produce other shorter paths for light, that are known as wormholes in our physical universe. Quantum entanglement, on the other hand, can produce suspicious behavior at a distance. No information can be transported faster than light. The M drive was also once touted as the technology that would take us to the most distant parts of the universe at a light speed. The concept theoretically works by trapping microwaves in a shaped chamber where their bouncing produces thrust. The chamber is closed, which means from the outside it appears to simply move without any fuel input or any thrust output. The M drive also relied on Newton's second law, where force is defined as the rate of change of momentum. Therefore, an electromagnetic wave traveling at the speed of light has a certain momentum that is transferred to a reflector, resulting in a tiny force. This accumulated tiny force in great quantity is what enables the M drive. That explanation might sound so easy, but it all still goes against what we know in physics. No energy is going in or coming out. How are the waves initialized or continue to move? All these seem impossible since momentum cannot be created without an explicable push, which is why many scientists doubted the concept of the M drive. Everything about it contradicts most of the physics knowledge that we know. Another idea that has been conceptualized to take us to outer space faster than the speed of light is the warp drive. The warp drive has shown great promise, as shown by Dr. Lentz, but he was not even the first to work on making the idea a reality and not mere fiction. The idea was first conceptualized by the Mexican mathematician and Star Trek fan Miguel Alcubierre, who had proposed it in 1994. Since then, his proposal has been the official reference of warp drives. So what exactly is the warp drive? If you're a fan of Star Trek yourself, then I'm sure you already have the basic idea of that. The warp drive first appeared in Star Trek, a device that travels faster than light across the galaxy. The warp, according to Alcubierre, works on a large amount of energy along with the dreaded toxic matter as a co-ingredient. The warp drive, however, is only a concept that has never been created. Other variations have been suggested by other researchers, including a 2010 update to the Alcubierre drive's physical design, which was made by Dr. Harold G. White, a former NASA engineer. His update reduced the amount of energy needed to a less number, even though it was still not practical because the solution also still required exotic matter, even though it would require less than what Alcubierre's solution needed. For a warp drive to generate sufficient negative energy, a great deal of matter will be required. According to Alcubierre's calculations, the mass of the entire observable universe would be required to power a warp drive with a 100-meter bubble. Another physicist named Chris Vandenbroek discovered in 1999 that enlarging the bubble's volume while maintaining its surface area would dramatically reduce the amount of energy required for the mass of the Sun. One flaw of Alcubierre's method of compressing space-time was that it needed negative energy or mass. Space-time around the vessel would be flattened and curled to shorten the distances. Using warp drive, either a ring of negative energy density or negative energy mass would be necessary for the warp drive to work. That leaves only negative energy as a viable alternative for physicists. Particles and antiparticles would have to be imbalanced in a warp drive's creation of negative energy. Interestingly, another group of researchers soon put up their own concept, and that theirs won't need any exotic material to create its warp bubble. Their model, however, could not go beyond the speed of light, something which was a required criterion. Now Lentz has created his own variations that he believes are even more viable because it is rooted in conventional physics. Aside from the material difference, Lentz indicated that his concept differs from Alcubierre and most others geometrically due to how the energy is placed around the warp bubble. He also points out the physical structure of his model as a difference. Alcubierre drive, which serves as a model for other designs, provided an intuitive picture of what a warp drive would do, which contracts the space immediately in front of the central region containing the ship or transport and expands the space immediately behind. In all the Alcubierre solutions, the energy density and curvatures are maximally separated, with the energy being restricted to a small torus between the regions of high contraction and expansion. The curvatures and sources in Lentz's proposal are instead highly correlated, with the regions of high energy density and high expansion and contraction almost exact. These geometric differences between his concept and concepts are what make Lentz's proposal a potentially more viable warp solution than those previously proposed. Even though the Alcubierre model remains the cornerstone of warp travel, Lentz argues that it is not significant. He said a solution proposed by another researcher, Jose Notario, showed him that the expansion and contraction were not necessary to transport the ship forward. Notario was able to prove that the expansion could be trivial or zero everywhere and still perform the same task of transporting a ship. Lentz added that Notario's work prompted him to rethink how a warp could be created using only traditional matter and not exotic matter. Looking at it overall, this is a breakthrough for Lentz because it means the exotic matter that warps the space in front of the theoretical passenger and behind them in nearly all theoretical warp drive solutions is no longer needed. These geometric differences between Lentz's model and other concepts are what make his proposal potentially a more viable warp solution than previously proposed. Lentz's hard drive is completely theoretical. He, however, sees a few steps that can be taken right now to try and move his version closer to reality. The next plan? Lentz has said that his next target is to make a warp bubble capable of moving at 1% of the speed of light using a modern-day fission reactor. This work has moved the problem of faster-than-light travel one step away from theoretical research in fundamental physics and closer to engineering. The next step is to figure out how to bring down the astronomical amount of energy needed within the range of today's technologies, such as a large modern nuclear fission power plant. Then we can talk about building the first prototypes. He also said he would consider patenting his warp drive, but he made it clear his work is just a part of a larger and ever-growing body of work in this area, and that the recent increase in new warp drive concepts since Alcubierre's 1994 proposal gives those in his field hope that a real, testable version may be closer than ever. Lentz's theory now focuses on time dilation, and Einstein's theory of special relativity states that travel across space alters the flow of time, and time dilation is the result. When traveling through the three dimensions of physical space, the quicker you move through it, at least relative to another object, the slower you move through the fourth dimension. Time dilation is not a theoretical concept or a thought experiment, as it has already been tested by the Heffel-Keating experiment of 1971. They both flew twice around the world, first eastward, then westward, and compared the clocks against others that remained at the United States Naval Observatory. When reunited, the three sets of clocks were found to disagree with one another, and their differences were consistent with the predictions of special and general relativity. All these concepts by Lentz and a whole lot of other physicists are mere mathematical simulations, and until we have experimental verifications, we might not fully trust these models completely. But it appears that humanity might soon achieve that dream of traveling to space faster than the speed of light. What do you guys think? Hey you, yeah you like the video? Great, we got another one for you that we guarantee you'll like, and all you have to do is click on the screen. It's free and without any hidden fees, but you have to click on it fast because this message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.